stories are about characters and their conflict, right? This is what this whole talk is about. When we started off with Romeo and Juliet, it is the warring of two families that makes it impossible for love to be allowed between two of the members of the families. Hence, they have to hide their relationship because of what is established in the beginning, all the drama of the two families warring all the time. When it comes to the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of these characters are bad people, but we have the joining of the good and the ugly to try to survive the rampage of violence that comes from the bad. And in their survival, they find a form of brotherhood across the movie. So even though they both hate each other, even though Eli Wallach wants to kill Clint Eastwood for leaving him in the desert with a noose around his neck and his hands tied and stealing the money, because all he asked for was his half of the cash. Forget the rest. Just give him his half of the cash, and Clint Eastwood just leaves him. So, but even though they have that, because the bad is after them, and they both have some information that he wants, it forces them to keep each other alive. And across the movie, Clint Eastwood gets to know about Eli Wallach's character, that he has a brother who has kind of disowned him. And in this weird, messed up adventure, in a sad and unusual kind of way, Clint Eastwood becomes his brother because they keep having to look out for each other, even though it's only for selfish goals. But here, when we come to, now we have the love of two lovers, and then we have the love of brothers, happening for different reasons under different contexts, but the action defines that conflict. So the action is not absent from telling the story. It's in fact a crucial part in telling that story. The fact that the good and the ugly do not have shootouts with each other only because they need to or have to, or feel that if they were to kill each other, it would give the advantage to the bad. So we have different contexts, but either way, the conflict always leads to these characters butting heads, finding some kind of common ground, but also still having conflict across that story until we reach the story's end, when all the final confrontations occur. In the case of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, we have the parallel love stories. And I think it's not a mistake that Zhang Ziyi and Michelle Yeoh are the ones who are fighting over the sword. They are both the female counterpart of their own love story. When we see Zhang Ziyi's love story, she was a woman who was kidnapped by a criminal who was going to hold her for ransom, but they end up falling in love, and she joins him in the crimes. And in the case of Michelle Yeoh, she is a fellow warrior designated to protect the sword with Chow Yun-fat, and tradition says that these two, because they're warriors, should never find love, never make a family, because their life must be committed to protecting the sword, or aka protecting tradition. So their love remains unspoken, even though it's very clear from just glances, from the way they talk to each other, that there's something emotional underneath the surface. But their love, they refuse to express for each other. On the side of the criminals, they fully express their love. So you see, even though our heroes are technically the good guys, a tradition is holding them both back from having happiness. And so is that really good? And even though our bad guys are bad guys, by breaking tradition, they're allowed to have the love that they want and live the life that they want. So when we have these two love stories competing with each other, the way the movie ends, I won't spoil for you if you haven't seen it, but all these relationships come to a head